Hi, it's Zuri, and today's video is going to be a little different from the ones that I've done previously. It's not going to be so lighthearted. It's going to be a little more serious this time and a really touchy subject. So if anything related to abuse, specifically sexual abuse, is a trigger for you, then you might not want to watch this video because I am going to be discussing a situation where that is involved. So this video is about Charlamagne. Kwame, the basketball player, just aired out his business. He was upset at Charlamagne because Charlamagne was exposing his family business on the Breakfast Club. He talked about how Kwame's father murdered his girlfriend and buried her alive. And he talked about how his brothers had gotten into some trouble and how one was maybe serving time for murder and just things like that. And Kwame did not appreciate it, even though in the Breakfast Club video with Charlamagne, he did say salute to Kwame. I don't think Kwame liked the video at all. And at first, I was like on Charlamagne's side, and I was ready to jump to his defense. But after listening to Kwame talk and watching the video over again, where Charlamagne says that about his father, I changed my mind. And I'm on Kwame's side now. And I really think that it was wrong for Charlamagne to say what he said about Kwame's family and his father and put that in connection to him, because you are not responsible for things that your family does. And even though mental illness can run in a family, it is very prevalent in my family. That does not mean that you are going to do the same things that your parents did or your siblings did. So, you know, my siblings have done a lot of things that I definitely wouldn't even consider doing. So I'm just saying that to say it was really wrong for him to do that, and just to try to use the man, his name in jest, which I think people have been saying has been done many years in regards to his career in the NBA. It's just been he's been a butt of jokes, and he's been silent about it, but I guess he is tired of being the butt of jokes. So now he's letting it all out. He's just not holding anything back. And one of the things that he talked about in the video that he made was Charlamagne the God had a assault case back in 2001 where a woman named Jessica Reed accused him of assaulting her at a party that he was throwing. And I had heard this story originally. I mean, I didn't know the details of the story, but I had heard about this a few years ago when it first came out. I think that Kevin Hunter Williams was the first person to put that out there about, you know, what happened with Charlamagne and this young lady. And I kind of glossed over it. I didn't really do any research on it, because a lot of times you figure if a case is thrown out, or if the person isn't convicted, found guilty, then you just kind of let it go, and you're just like, you know, and there wasn't any DNA evidence as far as I know. So you don't think a big deal of it. But I did watch an interview with her. I watched several things last night. I watched an interview with Jessica Reed, and I'll try to find where it was, because I don't remember exactly who the YouTuber was that put the video up. It was a video of her and her mother talking about what happened. And it just completely changed my mind on how I feel about everything, including Charlamagne. Which is weird, because when I first started watching The Breakfast Club, it was probably back in 2017, I believe. That was when it was either 2016 or 2017. Yeah, and it was when it was when Birdman was on there. And everybody knows the infamous "put some respect on my name" line that came out of that very short interview that they had with him. So I really didn't watch it much. I did watch it a few times after that, and I wasn't really, I didn't really appeal to me because I thought that Charlamagne did have a lot of predatory behavior. He just, the way that he would treat the women, the female guests, it was just too much for me. Just, yeah. And I did watch I did listen to Howard Stern when I was younger. When he was on the radio, I just liked it. It was like, it was different. And I did enjoy listening to him and things like that. But as a person, I've evolved more, and I don't even think I would listen. And I think Howard Stern has probably evolved. I don't think he does the same shows today that he was doing back when I was listening to him, over 20 years ago. So it was giving me those vibes, and it just didn't feel like something for me. It didn't feel right for my spirit to see women being objectified in a way that they were being treated on that show also. And I'd heard just different things about certain interviews he did, like the one with Lil Mama, where he made her cry, and he just didn't seem like a very likable person. So I was really not into watching it, but I gave it another chance, and I don't know, there must have been some interview or something that made me want to watch it again that captivated me, because I had started becoming kind of a regular listener after that. I really loved his Donkey of the Day segment that he does, and I really like Angela Yee, DJ Envy, Charlamagne. They all seem like a perfect trio, and the show is very entertaining. It seems very fun, and he fell back a little bit on some of his behaviors, and I noticed that he stopped doing stuff, and he sniffed a seat one time when Jennifer Lopez was on there, and I thought that was, or every time she was on there, and I thought that was just really disgusting. As a woman, I just think that's, just extremely disrespectful to do to one of your guests. She's not a friend or something like that of yours. As far as I know, they're not like friends or anything. It's just really unprofessional. And I know it's supposed to be this kind of edgy show, but it just still was just too much for me. And I'm like, maybe I'm just getting old, but I just didn't like it that much at first, but I gave it a chance. And when I heard I was ready to defend him, I was just ready to fight and just, come out with the claws. But like I said, when I watched her video, it made me look at him different. I actually just did a video a few days ago where I was talking about meeting famous people, and I did mention him in the video because I talked about a scenario that involved the Breakfast Club, and I was just saying how I haven't met him yet and how I would like to meet him, and how I love watching the show. And, I think now I don't really feel the same after watching the interviews and the clips that I've seen yesterday, which I will talk about. So when I watched the video with Jessica Reed and her mom, where she talked about what happened, she met him when she was 15 years old, and he was around 22. I think he was 22. And which is crazy because he says that he was 20, and it was 2001. And I'm like, dude, you were not 20. I was 20 in 2001, and he's older than me. So I'm like, dude, you're lying. You were not 20. And this is like so many years later, but he's trying to minimalize it, and maybe he lied to the police and told them that he was 20 years old, but he wasn't 20 years old. He was the one that bought the liquor, which I know some states, they sell alcohol to kids. They used to sell alcohol to me when I was underage in Chicago, but I don't know. I mean, he could have got someone to get it for him, but anyway, it's just the whole beginning, just that alone. The fact that this guy is in his 20s, okay? 20s. A grown-ass man. I wish I could edit my videos. I can't. I don't have any memory on my phone. Damn you, T-Mobile salesperson. All right. Anyway, he was 20 years old at the time. 22. Why is a 22-year-old man hanging with a 15-year-old child? I don't understand. That right there seems really predatory to me. What do you have in common with this kid that's still in high school? You know, that, 5 years prior, she was playing with Barbie dolls probably. And now, she's hanging with you. What do you haven't, why? I hung with older men when I was younger. I did when I was a teen, when I was around her age that she was at the time of this incident. When I was 15, I hung with grown men. And yeah, they all were trying to sleep with me. Yeah. Every single last one of them were trying to get me in bed. So why is he hanging out with this girl? He starts to groom her, taking her out to eat, taking her to a buffet, which probably isn't, to an adult, going to a buffet wouldn't be anything. But to a teenager, they probably like, oh, it's something. Because when you're around that age, you can work, but I don't know if she was. But I think when you're around that age as a teenager, you're probably used to guys taking you to like McDonald's or something. So she's probably excited that he was taking her to a restaurant. I don't know. She said that she never really liked him like that. She wasn't attracted to him. And I'm going to go with what she's saying. But obviously he was trying to groom her because he's taking her out. He went to meet her mom, told her mom that he was going to look after her and that she was safe with him pretty much. And, and he was referring to her as a little sister. So, yeah. He gets her to go to a party where he says that he's throwing it for himself, but then he changes it. Or he changed the story, she says, and he said that it was someone else's party. But Jessica definitely said that it was Charlamagne's party that he was throwing, and he told her he wanted to be there. And I might be leaving some details out. That's why you need to watch the interview for yourself. I would recommend that you watch her interview and listen to her words. Because if you have any doubts about this, I think watching the video would definitely change your mind, as it did mine. So she goes to this party with her cousin, and I don't think, it's just like mostly men there. I don't even think there was any other women at the party. So you already know this just sounds really, it's already looking bad, And unfortunately, back in the year 2001, when this happened, the camera phones weren't really out back then. I got my first camera phone in 2003. So I'm pretty sure they didn't have camera phones. The only phones that we had was just like regular cell phones. So the old Nokias and things like that. So she went to this party. So she couldn't have any evidence of anything because of that. Because of how long ago it was. But she went to this party. It was mostly men. And like I said, I'm probably leaving details out. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. There's a lot to cover. She says that he was trying to get her drunk pretty much. He gave her alcohol and it tasted funny. Or did he give her soda? I don't know if he spiked her drink. I can't remember the details. I'm so sorry. I have a bad memory. Too much cannabis. Too much of everything. Yeah, but he was trying to get her drunk. He did, I think he did drug her. Which he admits to, that he drugs women, that he put Spanish fly in some girl's drink, and which is really disturbing. He talks about that on the Brilliant Idiots, his podcast he has with Andrew Schultz. There was an episode where he's detailing it. Andrew Schultz is even like, that's rape, and he's saying it like laughing and joking, but it was just like a one of those awkward moments, awkward situations where he just probably was just trying to make light of something that was obviously kind of, suspect and heavy, but, So he gets her to this party, and there were some details about, I think they tried to get the friend drunk too that she was with. It was a friend or a cousin. I don't remember exactly. But they, he pretty much gave her this drink and then it got her to the point where she was really defenseless. And they took her, his friends took advantage of her in a bathroom. This 22-year-old that has this 15-year-old there, that he tells his mom he's going to look after her. Let's his friend assault her first, okay? And then he proceeds to assault her. And just watching this video with her, you can tell she's still traumatized and from this. I don't think it's something she will ever get over. How can you get over somebody violating you like that? And then they're everywhere to make things worse. They're on TV. They're on, they're interviewing the presidential candidates. It's insane. I just feel really bad for her. So he assaulted her. They tried to assault her friend too. Her friend even saw her being assaulted by him. And I think that's when he probably stopped, maybe when the friend came in. And she was just, in bewilderment after being assaulted. And he gaslighted her and said, "What's wrong with you?" Oh, what was really, I found disturbing is before he assaulted her, he was telling her, "I told you I was going to take care of you. Told you I was going to look at," that just really got to me. Like, that's really some predatory shit right there. I'm going to take care of you. Like, what the fuck? Seriously. Before you assault her, you refer to this girl saying that she's your sister. How could you go to someone's house and meet their mom and do it? I know there's some crazy, sick people in the world, but how could you? It baffles me that somebody could do that, because I think the whole from the beginning, that was his whole intentions, was to do this to this girl. It makes you wonder how many other young women has he done this to. He's probably done it a lot, and I bet any amount of money that a lot of them just can't even remember what happened to him, because he's drugging them and getting them drunk. A lot of people, especially me, when I was young, I used to drink a lot, okay? And I remember there was times I would black out and I just wouldn't even know what happened. That happened to me a lot because I used to drink so heavy when I was younger. And it just makes you wonder. I don't understand how someone like this can be on the radio doing what he does. It's really unfortunate that people get rewarded. Bad people get rewarded in this life. It's crazy to me. But anyway, after the assault happened, I don't remember the details. Like I said, I didn't take any notes or anything, which I probably should have done. The whole thing was just disturbing to me. It was hard to watch for me to watch her, because she was shaking. Her legs were shaking. And it was very convincing to me what she was saying. I believe her. I don't know why she would lie about that. She went to the doctor, the emergency room, like right after it happened, and had a assault kit done on her. And they questioned her, and they looked for DNA and did everything, and she told them it was him. I think there was a warrant out for his arrest after that, and he said that he voluntarily went to the police on his account of events. And she was saying, or someone else was saying, that was not correct. I think it may have been Sky. I can't remember his name. He's another blogger, or he might be a radio personality. The Star Report. I think that's it. He was saying that there was a warrant out. That's actually why he went in, because they were looking for him after this happened. So, he was a radio personality back then, Charlamagne. So it would probably look bad if, he would have just had this going on. I don't know what station he was, the details of what he was doing and all of that. But, so he turned himself in. He went in and he gave them DNA samples, did everything. And I guess over time, when they did all the testing, they didn't find any matches to his DNA. But in my mind, I think that could have been because he could have used protection, which he probably did do. He was on the radio, and I don't know if he was married at the time that he did this. I don't know how long he's been married. That would be a good thing to find out. So he would have not all that done. They didn't. Okay, so he got married in 2014. I don't know how long they've been together, though. They could have been together longer than that. But he obviously probably didn't. I mean, he's on the radio. He didn't want to get this 15-year-old pregnant, of course, because imagine how that would look for his career if that happened. And it would, and not just that, get her pregnant, but get, and arrested, in trouble for assaulting a woman. That would have not have been good for his career either. So I'm pretty sure he was looking out for himself. Like, if he's, I don't know if he's a sociopath because I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything like that, but this behavior, to me, it exudes sociopathic behavior. And if that was the case, then they are, clever to some degree to be able to hide the things. Not always, but they are always thinking ahead and trying to figure out those kind of things. Like, how do I cover my tracks? So he probably had protection on, I'm pretty sure. So that's probably why they couldn't find any DNA. That's what I'm thinking. For that reason. But it doesn't mean that he didn't do it. So after he's cleared, I think one of the reasons why he was cleared is because her mom didn't want her to go through the whole thing, because she didn't want her daughter to be exposed and have to relive and be re-traumatized about the assault. So the mom just pretty much told her to drop the case, and she didn't testify. And so he ended up pleading to a lesser charge, which I think was a misdemeanor charge, but not the one that he was originally charged for. So yeah, what really stood out to me, how she said that he called her his sister, because I do watch the show a lot, and he does say that he calls the women, his friends, his sisters. He's friends with a lot of women, he says, mostly women, which is just really makes you wonder now, is it like, like I said, sociopaths, they're always thinking ahead, very clever and cunning in their ways. They like, that's why we call them masterminds. They think, how can I get access to what I'm looking, to what I want? A lot of pedos, when they want to have access to kids, they end up getting jobs as teachers. And they do jobs, they'll be doctors, pediatricians, or they'll have some, volunteer to work around children in Boy Scouts, like Jerry Sandusky. Not boy, he wasn't doing Boy Scouts, but he was trying to help troubled youth. They'll do things like that where they can be around their prey. That's what they do. And makes you wonder, is that why he's friends with all these women? Because he's looking for an opportunity to, and that's what they do. They don't always act on every single person that they see. Predators, they take time and they wait for the right time to pounce. They'll watch you and stalk you. And when the time is right, that's when they make their move. And he, I don't know why he hasn't gotten in trouble. Maybe the other women, like I said, if there were any more, then maybe they were like too inebriated to even recall what happened, or paid off, who knows. But the story he told about the Spanish fly to Andrew Schultz on the Brilliant Idiots podcast, he talks about how he gave Spanish fly to a woman and she was just out of it, and he pretty much took advantage of her. And he's telling this on the radio, like, this dude is so stupid. dry snitching on himself. He tells this story how he did this to this woman, and he says that his boys tried to, do that too. And he said, oh, I didn't let them do anything because then that would be considered assault. But not just me, but if I let them, but he obviously let them see his cousin or his friends see the woman nude, which is disgusting. You're going to let them see this woman that she's drunk, naked, because he said it himself. That his cousin, he was like, oh, he saw her naked, but that's all. He didn't do anything, though. Allegedly, he didn't do anything. Yeah. I mean, allegedly, I think he did something. I think he did, and I think his friends might have did, but he didn't want to sound too much like a dog on the radio. He didn't want to expose himself too much. He probably already realized after he said what he said that, damn, I said too much, But he had to keep going. So he said he gave it to the girl. Then he said the next day, she said that she didn't remember anything. And she was just like, oh, I'm glad it was you and not anyone else. And I'm just like, dude, or something about that just sounds really fishy to me. So what I'm saying is, like, he's probably been doing this to a lot of women. It's really sad. This dude has 3 girls. Okay? I wonder how would he feel if a 22-year-old man tried to hang with one of his daughters when they're 15 years old, when they're a teenager. How would he feel about that? How would he feel about a 22-year-old man taking his daughter out to eat, trying to get her drunk, taking her to parties, and allowing her to be taken advantage of? And that's another thing about that story. He said he left the party, but it was his party. You're going to leave your own party? That doesn't even sound right. How would he feel if someone did that to his daughter? Went and met him, like he went and met her mom, shook hands, his hand, said, okay, your daughter's safe with me. And then they go and let something this egregious happen to her. On his show, he has given himself the donkey the other day for participating in the assault culture, and it was really big back in the day. It was where, especially in movies, where men were drugging women and this and that. And it's nice for you to acknowledge that it was wrong for what you did, as far as just being a part of that. Times change and things have changed a lot. Some things that were acceptable back then are not acceptable anymore, and that's one of them. But he never has taken responsibility for what he has done to this woman. He's always just said that, referring to her as a victim, not even by her name, as someone that he called his sister at one point in time, according to her, according to Jessica. He just apologizes for being the one that got the alcohol for the party, but not for being the one that actually assaulted her. So he's apologized for that, but he never apologized for hurting her, for causing her so much pain, and gaslighting her. I find it really interesting that he is always talking about other men that have been accused of the same thing, like Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. And it's like, dude, like, it's almost like he's telling on himself in a way. Like, I would shut up. I wouldn't even say anything if I had this huge thing like that, on my record. I would shut up, but that's not what narcissists do. They have to brag, and they feel invincible. They feel like, from what I've learned about them, hearing a lot of psychiatrists say, that they just feel like they won't get caught. And it's really sociopathic behavior just to not even have any sympathy or empathy. I think that's what a sociopath is, someone Or a psychopath is a person that lacks empathy. And the fact that you can just go about your day and pretend like nothing. That's another thing. He does have a book out about it. I had got one of his books. I got his first book that he wrote, Black Privilege. And I am not even lying right now when I tell you that I never finished that book. I started reading it a few years ago and I just never finished it just because I honestly, it wasn't that captivating to me. It was just, I don't know. It just wasn't, I didn't think it was that great. But I always plan on finishing it at some point in time. And I do have ADD and it takes me forever to finish things. I'm a huge procrastinator. But I actually was going to pick it back up again. Like soon, I planned on doing that, trying to finish it. But now that this happened, I'm actually happy I never finished that book. I would hate to have gone through all this time reading a book by an alleged predator. I don't want to support anyone like that. I already gave him my money. I can't get my money back. I wish I could. I should contact Amazon and be like, I want my money back. This dude is a predator. They probably, it's like, I got it like a year ago, 2 years ago. So I'm probably not going to get a refund. But, you know, it doesn't hurt to try, right? Yeah. He has a book called Shook One, where he talks about his anxiety and how it's really bad. He gets this horrible anxiety. I see why you get anxiety now. That's your conscience. That's your karma for what you did. Can you imagine how much anxiety Jessica has now? It's gonna, what he did to her, it's gonna ruin her life. I'm gonna just talk about me for just 1 second, because I don't want to take the focus away from Jessica. But when I was younger, when I was a kid, I would go to the store to get things for my grandmother, my mom, my sister, whomever. And it started when I was about 9 years old. And it went on for years until I was about 11, maybe. I would get touched all the time by boys and older boys, teenagers. And I was just a kid. I always had like they say, a more developed body. You know, I had everything. I was pretty big, so I developed really early. And one time, these boys touched me. I dropped a glass bottle. I was buying some pop, and I just dropped it on the floor. I remember because I was just, to this day, I mean, that was like when I was 10. 30 years later, I still have anxiety from that. Like, I can't stand when people stand behind me. It really makes me anxious. Sometimes when someone touches me, it makes me feel disgusted. I think it's because of what happened to me. And I had to think about that. Like, why do I feel this way? And I had another boy that touched me when I was like in preschool or first grade or kindergarten. I was probably kindergarten. So I had that too. And now and he used to sit behind me. That's probably why I hate when people behind me, because things like that traumatize you to the point where it's hard for you to just even be a normal person anymore. If my son bumps into me sometime, it triggers me. It makes you remember what happened to me. And I was just being like grabbed and groped and touched. I can't imagine how Jessica feels after having somebody violate her, penetrate her like that. Sorry for being graphic, but it's just the truth. It's probably gonna make it really hard for her in relationships now. That's something that she's gonna have to deal with for the rest of her life. And I hope that's something she can heal from. But yeah, he's always talking about other people, whether it be Joe Budden. Even he was on the Joe Budden podcast. You could look this up. Or he was on there and he was talking about Joe Budden, just saying, I think he was just making him just look like out to be a horrible person because Joe Budden had physically assaulted a woman, like in a domestic dispute. I think he hit her. Or maybe women. I don't know how many people he's done that to, because I don't know the details. But Charlamagne was just coming off, you know, sanctimonious, like, you know, how dare you? do that to a woman. Well, meanwhile, he has this on his file. It's like, are you kidding me, dude? I mean, both are bad, but, you know, this is just worse to me. I mean, I know they're bad, and I'm sorry if you don't feel the same way, but it's just so personal, you know. Both are bad, but, and he tries to make it look like, and then when they bring up his case, he was like, oh, just, oh, he was just like, oh, the rape thing? Well, he just mentioned it like it was nothing. Like they were talking about, I don't know, what they ate for dinner last night. He just glossed over it like it was nothing, which is really disturbing. But when I watched that, I didn't know the details of what happened with Jessica Reed. Didn't watch her interviews, didn't know anything. But now looking back at that, it's just really, really sick. How he could just brush something off like that. Something so serious. Something that can ruin a person's life. Innocent 15-year-old. 15 years old. Trusting this man. Don't ever let your kids hang with a grown man. Don't do it. My older sister used to try to get me to hang with older men, and her husband, who was her boyfriend at the time, one of his friends used to always hit on me. I was 14 years old, and this dude was like 26, and he just kept constantly hitting on me, and he stole one of my pictures from me, and my sister was, and her boy, they were laughing. They thought it was funny. I was only 14. They thought it was hilarious that this grown man was hitting on me and obsessing over me. And it was really bothering me a lot. And, you know, my own sister didn't protect me. She didn't say, leave her alone. I mean, eventually she did say something like, oh, just stop. Because he was staying with us for a while because I lived with my sister at the time. And he was there visiting with her boyfriend. We were living in Minnesota and they were from Chicago. So this dude just kept harassing me all day long. And it was just like, oh my God. And I had my cousin's boyfriends would do the same thing to me. I grew up being harassed, so I can relate in that way. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be 15 years old and assaulted by an adult that you trusted and, you know, and drugged and assaulted. I don't know what that's like, but I know what it's like to be surrounded by predators and not be protected by people that you trust. People that you think are going to have your back, your family. Her mother said she didn't know how old he was when she was hanging out with him. But you should know everything about the men that are hanging around your children. Look at some ID. You should know his name, where he lives, everything about him. I don't know if she didn't know if he was on the radio. I don't know how she didn't know that he was an adult because usually, as far as radio goes, I don't remember DJs being like teenagers. Usually they're grown. Okay. I've never seen a DJ that was underage, that was a minor. I mean, I'm sure it exists somewhere, but I've never seen it. So I don't know how that, you know, wasn't a red flag, but either way it goes, her mother failed her. She did. You know, because she should have known not to let her daughter go to that. I mean, ultimately, Charlamagne is the predator. He's the one that did mostly, you know, everything falls on him. But she has to take some of the blame for letting her daughter hang around this man that was an adult, and the daughter was just a teenager. I feel like it's really sad. The industry seems like it just filled with predators. It's a predatory environment. I don't think I would ever let my kid be in the industry. Not saying that that's what her mom is doing. I don't know if he promised her anything if she was trying to pursue music. They didn't say anything about that, but I'm just saying, just in general, there's a lot of, because I'm just thinking about all the men in the industry that have been charged with the same thing or something similar. Just a few days ago. Like it came out from Olivia Dope that Joe Budden was harassing her, at work, being predatory. I know Joe Budden is probably happy this came out because it's taken some of the heat off of his situation. But he came out, he apologized. I will give him some credit for doing that. At least he did that. He didn't deny it. Well, he couldn't deny it because it was all on camera. So he, on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne tries to act like he's just so evolved and that he says he goes to therapy and stuff like that. And I think that he needs to keep going to therapy. I hope it has helped him. I hope it's helped him to not want to do this again. One thing I've heard him say is, this quote I've heard Charlamagne say is, if you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on people that didn't cut you. And that's what he did. He bled all over this girl because from what he tells about himself, he was assaulted as a child. He was molested by an adult. His mom failed him. He was only like maybe 8 or 9 or something. I don't remember. He was underage. He was younger than Jessica, and one of his mother's friends would assault him. Yeah. So I think that could be part of the reason why he could have these issues, not making excuses for him, but just saying, that could be why he acts like that or why he would do something like that. But now he on the show, he just seemed to try to act like he's just so evolved and above everything, and he always tries to point at other people. Maybe he's trying to take the fingers off of himself. That could be why he's doing that. I don't know. But I just hope that Jessica's able to heal from what happened to her. I wonder, how does Charlamagne's female friends feel about this? I mean, I should have known something was wrong with him when he said that he thought Amanda Seales was the funniest comedian alive, and Tiffany Haddish and Andrew Schultz. Something's wrong with that. Seriously. But no, but on a serious note, I wonder how do they feel about that? All the women that he claims to be friends with. Tiffany Haddish was assaulted too. I read her book. And she does talk about that when she was in foster care. But I don't know. She hasn't said anything about it as far as I know. I think a lot of people just protect predators for some reason. If people think you're talented or funny enough, they'll protect you. And that's what it seems to be happening in this case, because everything was just swept under the rug. I'm just trying to think. Oh, ironic thing too is he just gave Donkey of the Day of this dude to this dude that was looking at child porn, and he had a screen name was Sooo Freakyyyy. Like, dude, you are so freaky. He even said that he was a freak. There's some perverted people in this world, and I think that he's one of them. I really do. Like I said on the show, he's acted like he's done some really weird stuff. And I couldn't even watch it at first. It was just too disgusting for me. Maybe I'd seen it years ago and I just decided not to watch it because I was like, ugh. But I don't know. That's all I just want to say about that. I just think that he owes Jessica an apology for what he did to her. He does. I don't think he ever will, but he's going to have that anxiety and that guilty conscience and all of that. It's going to eat up at him until he makes right by her. Another thing I want to say is Kwame, when he was when he was going on his rant. I don't think it was fair that he brought up DJ Envy and Angela Yee, because I don't think they had anything to do with that. Charlamagne was the one that brought up his family. I understand he was just like, they were just casualties of war. Isn't that what it's called? Or collateral damage. But Charlamagne was the one that talked about it. And I think that Kwame, he brought up the fact that he brought up DJ Envy's cheating on his wife. He compared him to Bill Gates and how Bill Gates knew how to cheat better. Dude, shut the fuck up. Bill Gates is connected to Jeffrey Epstein, whatever the fuck his name is. And that dude, we obviously know that dude was a fucking pervert. He was a pedo. We know. They called his island Pedo Island. And if Bill Gates was hanging out with him, I mean, that's very questionable. That actually was saying that that was part of the reason why his wife wanted to separate from him. Was because that stuff came out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I don't think she wanted to be associated with that. So to tell him to say, oh, you should have been like you should have been like Bill Gates. No, you shouldn't be like Bill Gates. He did his wife wrong, and it was right for him to apologize in public for what he did to her, to show her. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Kwame is a fucking other toxic masculinity individual. You know, he's like, you need to cheat on your wife better and be like Bill Gates. And, you know, shut the hell up. Bill Gates could be a possible pedophile. So you saying he should be a pedo? Is that what you're saying? Shut the fuck up. I know you're mad, but you're just fucking grasping now. I'll tell this dude what the fuck. It's his relationship. He could apologize how he wants. He can do what the fuck he wants to do. You can't tell somebody how to act in a relationship. I'm just telling you to shut the fuck up, because Bill Gates is associated with a pedo. And unless you're a pedo yourself and you approve of that lifestyle, then it's not a good look to even mention Bill Gates right now. Just because he's rich, what the fuck? Does that make him better than somebody? It's fucking insane. The shit that people defend and the shit that they say, they don't think about. I don't know what I'm going to do with Charlamagne's book. I'm definitely not going to finish reading it. I'm going to have to find something creative to do with it. I should burn it. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions what I should do with this book? If so, please tell me in the comments, because I don't want anything. I don't even want to donate it, because I don't want anybody reading this shit by this hypocrite. He's a hippo. He has the thing on his show, the segment, the donkey of the day. Well, I'm starting a new segment today on my channel, on my show. And it's going to be the hippo of the day. And Charlamagne is the first one to receive this award for being a big hypocrite. For trying to call out other people on the things that are probably not as egregious as this. And I'm going to just end this by saying, I am praying for Jessica Reed. My much healing to you. My heart goes out to you. I'm just going to pray for you and just hope that you can heal from this trauma, and that you can hopefully help other women that have been through something similar. And I think that there should be something done we should do something for Jessica Reed. I don't know what, but something needs to be done for her. Nothing can ever take this back, but we can just do something. If there's something we could do, I'm interested in doing it. If anybody has any ideas of what can be done. And I'm sorry, Jessica Reed, that I supported this man that assaulted you. Allegedly. But, you know, I'm so sorry for supporting him. And we need to protect Black women. We do. And I'm going to end it with that. Thank you for watching.